Hey guys, welcome back. This video is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a video that I actually put on the We Like What We Like channel as well, which this will go up way before that because we haven't even launched that channel yet. So you may see this again if you subscribe to that channel once it's up and running. But I do want to talk about something else first before I get to what the main part of this video is. Some of you know this already, people that follow me on social media, Facebook and Instagram, but my father passed away last week. Some of you, I've already talked about him and his cancer, but I was at work. It was a little after 11, about 11:30 at night, and I got a call from my mom saying that he had passed. She had called earlier in the day, and I got to talk to him for just a few seconds, tell him that I missed him, that I loved him, and at that point he was just barely speaking. He mumbled a lot, was in a lot of pain. So we knew it was coming at some point, but we just didn't know when. And the last couple days, his last couple days, not been very good. A lot of you have already reached out to me, and I appreciate all the kind words that you've said. But I kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit. I'll do a whole nother video kind of about my dad, and I talked about them before, but I want to go a little more in depth on kind of how they made me the person that I am. So share some good memories about them. I would say my dad wouldn't want me to be sad and for the loss of his life. Again, he was suffering. He didn't have his quality of life was not good. So we're glad he's not suffering anymore from this terrible disease. But what he'd actually want is he'd want us to feel what we feel, and we're all trying to do that. My mom keeps saying it's a new normal that we're going to have to be going through, and that's exactly what it is. We're feeling the emotions as they come, and dealing with it, in our own ways. I just wanted to, kind of let you guys know that ahead of time. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. Again, I was telling my buddy Greg that it's kind of almost a reverse pickup video, if that makes sense. My buddy Larry had a bunch of mine and my brother's video games for, I don't know, 15 or so years. He kind of came over one day, and he always tried to borrow some of my brother's games. My brother would never let him, so when my brother wasn't there, he just kind of took them and took some of mine as well. And I finally got them back just recently, and I kind of wanted to show them off and kind of just talk about them a little bit. That's kind of what this channel is all about. Is about me and who I am, and it's just a way to. Some of you know me through, Facebook or whatever, but you don't know me. So this is kind of a way to, I don't know, for you to understand who I am and the things that I like and things I'm into, which is, going to be majorly what we like is. But, I want some of that. There's going to be crossover in different ways. Yeah, I just want to kind of show these off. It's cool to have them again. Some of them I'd kind of forgotten about. Some of them I had told people I had some of these games, and it's like, do you really? But there's quite a few, so I'm going to try to get through them pretty quick. Some of them I don't need to talk about, but Paperboy. I loved Paperboy. I love the arcade version of Paperboy. I liked having, the handlebars. I was never good at this game, but it was something that I always enjoyed. POW, another arcade game. There was a two-player game that this is not. Sort of a kind of Contra run-and-gun style game, if you've ever played it. My brother, this was my brother's. Just a game that we had a lot of fun playing. Rampage, again, another arcade game that it is missing one of the characters in the Nintendo version, but just still a lot of fun. Game I've never beat, and never will. It's just too long. It's just kind of one of those games that you can just kind of pick up and play for a while, and okay, Barker Bill's Trick Shooting. It was a light gun game, kind of carnival style game. I always liked that type of game. It's probably my second favorite genre of game after platformers. I like light gun games, Area 51, Time Crisis, so that sort of stuff. Even things like, there was like the Laserdisc games like Mad Dog McCree, Who Shot Johnny Rock, those style of games, the live action ones. X-Men, not an amazing game, but a game that I sunk a lot of time into. This is one that a lot of people I know have never heard of. Dash Galaxy in the Alien Asylum. Kind of a puzzle game almost, where you have to run through each level and get to the end. You have to do certain things before time's up, or like explodes. It's a game I've beaten several times. Jurassic Park. I don't know what people think of this game. I always enjoyed it. That's kind of how I think of games, is how much fun I have with them. A game doesn't have to have amazing graphics or whatever for me, as long as it's fun. That's all that really matters. Some people complain about like PlayStation 1 games being so blocky, something like Tomb Raider. I don't care about that. As long as the game's fun and, the control works with it, I don't care. Dragon Warrior. You can see I got it at one point for $6. Great to have. Great one. DuckTales. One that I sunk a lot of hours into over the years. Just so fun. I wouldn't say a perfect game, but it is one of those platformers that, is just designed so well. Music, the graphics, were great for a Nintendo game. Gray Zelda cartridge. I don't think I need to say much about Zelda. Fantastic game. The first Mega Man. I love Mega Man games. I'm not good at Mega Man games. My brother was always better at them than me. They're just hard. I think if you've ever played a Mega Man game, you know that. Mega Man 3. We have Mega Man 2. I didn't see it at his house when I picked these games up. They were in a big tote, and I was just kind of going through them, and there was a bunch of stuff in there besides the game, some systems and such, and it might have been buried at the bottom, and I just missed it. Mega Man 4. 3 and 4 were always my favorites. Maybe 3 even more than 4. I think it's just because it's the one I played the most. I don't know that I was any better at it, but maybe because I had played it so much. Those were all my brothers. My brother was a huge Mega Man fan. Castlevania. Again, similar thing. I really like Castlevania games. So much. Even the Nintendo ones had just kind of great atmosphere. And fantastic music. Konami always kind of, were great at that. I just wasn't very good at them. They were just hard to me, and a lot of the Nintendo games were. It was a lot of figuring out patterns and things, or knowing you're dying a lot and learning from the experience. Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, the better game of the two for me. Some of these actually are not in the best condition. Like, this is Castlevania. It's all like, I don't know if you could see it that well. It's like sticky. Like maybe someone spilled soda or coffee on it. There's a little bit of that on Simon's Quest. This is really cool. It's not in the best shape, but it is Turtles 3: The Manhattan Project. You've got the box. It's got, the game is in there. However, the manual is not. I thought it was, but it's not. I don't know if I have it somewhere else, maybe. I've got a box somewhere with a ton of manuals in it, so it might be in there, but I don't think so. So I'd like to, at some point, pick up that manual to go along with this. Would love to have a better box, but it's still cool to have. Just a fun game. Then we'll go into Super Nintendo games. Jurassic Park Part 2. Again, a fun game. I never beat it, but I did sink a lot of time into just kind of playing it over and over again. Just one of those games that I could pick up, play for a little while, and if I died, I didn't get too frustrated. I didn't rage quit. I would just get to a point and be like, okay, I've had fun. I've got my fun out of it. The Lethal Enforcers. Again, a light gun game. Got the gun. He said that the gun didn't work. I don't know if it just doesn't work anymore, or if maybe he was using it on a modern TV, and because it only works on a CRT, that could be the problem. I haven't tried it out yet, but I will probably be looking for another one at some point if it doesn't. And then actually, this isn't mine. I have this game, but I wasn't sure if this was my copy or not. And he knew that he had this growing up, so he wasn't sure if it was his. But Maximum Carnage, it is his copy. Mine is back there on the shelf somewhere. I looked to see. And then the two that I was most excited to get back, and again, not very good at it, but Mega Man X2. I like them. I didn't play the X games nearly as much, so I don't have as big of a history as some people do, or have the nostalgia for them. But again, just the Mega Man games are designed so well. From the music, the graphics, the enemies, everything, and it's a lot of times with these games, if you die, you kind of know why you die most of the time. It is kind of your fault in a way. Unless sometimes when you're going up like a ladder into the next, when it scrolls up, sometimes things do shoot at you that kind of isn't. But and then the one I was most excited to get back. That it's one of those games that I own this. Sure you do. Motherfucking Earthbound. I am not a huge RPG fan. Never have been. I don't like turn-based RPGs. I don't like taking turns to fight. I don't know. People love them, but I do love Earthbound. It's one of those games where it does make me laugh. Like, not just that's funny. No, there are things in this that actually make me laugh. It is a game that has a lot of heart, that you can tell that the people that made this game really enjoyed what they were doing, and really put a lot into it, and took their time, and it's just a well-made game that is just so fun. And there's so many things to still, there's things in it that you could play it 10 times and discover something new each time, because they put so much into it. It's just a big game. But it's one of those games that is kind of ridiculously priced. I remember seeing it everywhere, and maybe it's because it's where I lived. I would see it everywhere, in Walmart or Kmart or whatever. I saw it all the time. But now it seems so, I don't know that it's necessarily rare so much as people have kept their copies. So that's what's made the price go up on these. And maybe that's what it is. No one wants to get rid of it because they like it so much. So that's jacked the price up. But I don't know. I never thought it was a rare game until people started saying it was a rare game. And I get that, like, with, Nintendo and Super Nintendo games, people didn't keep the boxes, just threw them away. Where, like, Sega, it seems like people did, because they were a hard case, I guess. I wish I still had, the manuals and the maps and everything. I don't have that. I'm extremely excited to have it back. But I've also been tempted to sell it because of the price. We could use the money. Even if not for bills, like, there are other games, there are other things I'd like to buy. So I'm really torn. There are other ways I can play it. So if I want to, I can. But I really like. I'm a system collector more than a game collector. I have not a ton of games, but I do have a decent amount. But I like having systems. That's more my thing. When I was growing up, I started collecting systems when I was young, like wanting to have them, because I wanted to open a video game museum, more so to show off the systems and the peripherals and that sort of thing. I just thought that'd be so cool, and that is a thing now. People do that, but when I was a kid, like, I just wanted to go to a place where I could, go look at things and even try them out and that sort of thing. So I have all my systems that I've ever owned. Everything from an Atari 2600 up to, like, the most modern system I have is a Wii U. I don't have a Switch, I don't have a PS4, I don't have a One. And then I don't have some handheld systems like a Vita, PSP. I want them. I want every system. Like, that's something I would love, is to have every system that's ever been made. I don't have, like, a ColecoVision and a television. I don't have some of those. Something I've always wanted is a Commodore 64. I knew somebody that had one growing up. And there were just so many fun games on that. But it was just never something that my family could afford. Same with, like, the Atari computers. We didn't have those, and it would be really cool to have those. I never had a 5200 or a 7800. My next door neighbor had, I think, a 7800, so I got to play it, but we never owned it. And they're not cheap now. So it's something I want to get at some point. And then I don't have any box systems, and that's something I don't need, but there are a couple systems I'd like to have the box for. Like the Nintendo, like the big box with the gun and everything, and Mario Duck Hunt. That'd be a cool box to have. I wouldn't mind having a Super Nintendo box. There's just a few systems that I'd want. They take up so much space. And eventually, the house we live in, we rent. And if we may buy this house. They talked about that when we moved in, that if we decided, we were interested, they, might sell it to us. And if so, this whole wall back here, I want to put shelves on, instead of the book cases. Just sturdier, and things are too deep. And this way I can just, have them a single layer, where it's easier to get things, easier to sort, that sort of thing. And then you can't see it, but over to my left, I have two other bookshelves that are DVDs, Blu-rays, VHS, that sort of thing. And I'd love to be able to get to those a little easier. And then I have a whole nother bookshelf over back that way that has computer games, some more systems, and a bunch of CDs. And I would just love to build shelves back here, basically from the floor up. Then, like, the top level be like figures, because at the top of these bookshelves are like He-Man figures, Mad Balls, and some other random things. So I'd love to have just the top shelf be, all my figures. I've got a Castle Grayskull up there. At some point I will do kind of a room tour for both channels, just to kind of show off some of my things that I'm proud to have. I'm not one of those people that collect things that they don't want. There's a lot of VHS collectors that just collect to collect. They collect things that are worth something. They collect multiple copies of a movie. I don't need that. I do buy random tapes sometimes that I don't know what they are, just to this may be fun. But I don't buy things for the value. Same with games. I wouldn't buy Earthbound just because it's worth something, unless I needed it. Like if we needed money, I might buy it on the cheap and then resell it. But I don't like price gouging either. So the stuff I have is because I want it, because it's something I love, something I loved as a kid, that sort of thing. So that's why I have He-Man figures up there. I had a ton of them growing up, and when I was a teenager, sold them all off for the most part. I kept like the major, He-Man, Skeletor, Orko, Man-at-Arms, but I sold all my vehicles, Castle Grayskull, Snake Mountain, a couple other play sets. I had so much. I was kind of spoiled in that way. Last Christmas, I was watching a video on it showed, every wave of the He-Man figures, and I had like 80% of them. Like, and I get that, I looked into like the price of figures, and back then they were like $1.99, something like that, $2, and some of the play sets were like $20, so they weren't that expensive, when you think about it. So that's why I had so much, is, say my parents spent, Christmas $100. Well, for $100, you could get a lot of stuff back then. But that's why I collect things. That's why I have these games. They're games I like, that I enjoy. If I didn't, I'd get rid of them. I just don't need... I have a lot of stuff. I do. We have an attic, and in the attic I have a bunch of stuff. Action figures, boxed action figures, some more systems, computer parts, old hard drives that I have stuff stored on that I just can't get rid of. Some of my old art, that sort of thing. And my mom always says I have junk. There's so much junk. But, it means something to me. I'm one of those people that, put memories and things on stuff. I like things. I like having things. But again, I don't have them to show off. I don't like bring people over like, hey, come on, you got to check out my stuff. Like, I may be excited about an item, like, oh, if a buddy comes over, like, oh man, check this out, I got this for like $3. Like, so happy to find this. And that's what it is. I'm just happy to have something, and I want to, share my excitement with somebody that's going to appreciate that item. But it's not something like, oh, I got fucking Earthbound, look at me. It's just not who I am, and I don't care for that. But I do like stuff. You guys are going to find that out the more you get to know me. But that's pretty much all I got for this video. Again, thanks for everybody who's mentioned, and not just about my dad, but who, again, for the people that are enjoying the channel, I appreciate your kind words. It's very humbling. I hope I get more subscribers. Again, it's not about that, but if I can touch somebody, I feel like a broken record, but if I can touch someone in a way that that I can create kind of a personal, I don't know, something with, bond with them in a way, that's great. Internet friends are not the same as people you know in person. But that isn't, you can't disqualify that kind of friendship, because I have some great friends that I know through the internet. So, if you're watching this, thanks. If you've subscribed, thanks. If you enjoy the channel, recommend it to somebody. If you think they might enjoy the content that's on here, that'd be great. I want this to be kind of a community where we can talk about, our lives and how we're dealing with things. And right now this is kind of how I'm dealing with stuff in my life. Playing some games. I've been playing a lot of Super Nintendo games recently. Even before my dad had started getting worse. It just took me back to my childhood. And then, that's what nostalgia is all about. And there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you don't hang on it. But we have these feelings for a reason. They make us happy. And there's nothing wrong with that. Embrace that. If it makes you happy and you're playing Super Mario World, that's not hurting anyone. Like, there's still people out there that, like, you play video games, you're an adult. I'm like, yeah, who cares? You have a, football fantasy league, we all have our things, whether, it's sports or video games, movies, fishing, camping, whatever it is. Everybody has their thing or their things. And, you gotta embrace that. That's what makes you, and don't sacrifice that for someone. Don't give that up. If people aren't willing to accept that, then they may not be the kind of people you need in your life if you have to change. My wife and I don't have a ton of similar interests. She doesn't care for video games. She doesn't like horror movies. But we have plenty of other things that, we bond over. It'd be great if she liked those things, but I'm not going to force her into them. If she shows interest, and then, I'll work it in somehow, find a way to get her, to enjoy them. But, I'm not going to stop playing video games. I'm not going to stop watching horror movies, It's just who I am. That's who I will always be. And that's who you should always be. Be yourself. If you're a gamer, game. If you're a filmmaker, film. If you make dirty videos for money, make your dirty videos. Whatever brings you happiness, and it's not illegal, go ahead. Who am I to judge? Who is anyone to judge? But that's all I got for today. I'm just rambling now. Thanks again. Hit me up. Again, my social media and my email will be down below. Drop me a line. I'd love to hear from you. If there's something you want me to talk about, something you want to know about me, let me know that too. I have plenty of ideas for videos, but if there's something you guys want to, see me touch on, I'll be happy to. Yeah, that's all I've got for now. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Bye.